Are your newly purchased onions soft and moldy after only a few days? The culprit isn't the onions being old. I used to think onions spoiled quickly because of poor quality, but the truth is it's due to incorrect storage. Hello, it's great to see you again on the Clever Tricks channel. The most common mistake is storing onions in the refrigerator next to potatoes and carrots. Refrigeration retains moisture, preventing onions from breathing, causing them to soften and mold quickly. Potatoes and carrots release moisture while onions produce ethylene gas. These two things combine to spoil each other extremely quickly. The good news is the solution is incredibly simple. Just keep onions and potatoes in separate, well-ventilated areas, and you'll find that onions stay dry and firm for much longer, and potatoes don't sprout prematurely. Many people overlook these little tips, but they make a huge difference in your kitchen. I have created subtitles in multiple languages. Please select your preferred language, comment below, and let me know which country you are watching from. It's amazing that we can connect from all around the world. Method 1. Store onions in a cool, dark, airy place. Onions need good air circulation, no humidity, and no direct light. Light and moisture are two factors that cause onions to sprout, mold, or rot quickly. Light and moisture are two factors that cause onions to sprout, mold, or rot quickly. Choose dry, firm onions with intact outer skin without bruises or bruises. Remove onions that have sprouted or are soft. Place onions in a cool, dark corner of the kitchen. Do not place near the stove, sink, or refrigerator. Do not place them near potatoes or ripe fruit, because they produce ethylene gas, which causes onions to spoil quickly. Check every 1 to 2 weeks to remove any soft or sprouting bulbs. Under ideal conditions, onions can stay fresh for 3 to 4 weeks, or even up to 2 months if stored in a cooler, drier place, like a basement in the US. Method 2. Airy basket and baking soda. I prepared a basket, the kind with many air holes to allow air to circulate easily, preventing the onions from being cooked by their own moisture. Next, I lined the bottom of the basket with a layer of paper towels. Then, I covered it with a layer of baking soda. Baking soda has the ability to absorb moisture and deodorize very well, helping the onions stay dry, airy, and avoid mold or root growth. Next, this layer of paper helps prevent the onions from coming into direct contact with the powder, while still maintaining the ability to absorb moisture effectively. Finally, I arranged each onion neatly in the basket, not stacking it too high to avoid damaging the outer skin. When finished, I placed the basket in a dry, cool place and away from direct sunlight. The ideal temperature for onions to sleep well is between 7 and 13 degrees Celsius, a little warmer than the refrigerator but cooler than room temperature. At this stage, the onions don't think spring has come and won't sprout. This way, the onions can stay fresh for 2 to 3 weeks longer than usual, still retaining their crunch and distinctive flavor. Method 3. Hanging onions with tights. This is a simple, traditional, time-tested method, and my favorite because it ensures the onions can breathe freely. We'll use a pair of tights. It may sound strange, but trust me, it works wonders. Take a clean pair of tights. Put an onion in it and tie a knot right at the top. Continue doing this until you have a long string of onions. Where are you from? It's such a joy that we're connecting from all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for your support. Then hang it in a cool, dry, dark place, like a basement or pantry. The knots keep the onions from touching each other, so if one goes bad, it won't affect the rest. The nylon material of tights is also perfectly breathable, which helps keep the onions fresh for a long time. When you need to use it, just cut it from the bottom up or gently unbutton it to get a tube, and you can completely reuse this pantyhose many times. Method 4. Freeze onions. Freezing onions is another great way to extend their shelf life, especially if you want to always have an ingredient readily available for cooking. Start by peeling and chopping the onions to the size you usually use. Small chunks for stir-fries and sauces, larger pieces for soups. If you want to save time later, you can put the onions in a food processor and blend them until smooth. Next, place the onions in a freezer bag or airtight container suitable for the freezer. If using a bag, gently press the onions to form a thin, flat layer. This makes it easier to break off the correct amount you need. Before sealing, remember to squeeze out all the air to prevent freezing and keep the onions fresher for longer. You can also use chopsticks to divide the scallions into smaller portions, which is very convenient for each cooking session. Place the bag flat in the freezer. After a few hours, the onions will be completely frozen. Frozen onions will lose their crispness when thawed, but they retain their flavor very well, making them extremely suitable for cooked dishes. You just need to break off a piece and put it straight into the pan or pot. No thawing required. Stored this way, onions can be used for up to 6 months, retaining their aroma and flavor. This is a convenient, time-saving solution, ensuring you always have onions readily available when needed. Method 4. Store onions in a mesh bag. If you have a mesh bag like this at home, don't throw it away. Use it to store onions very conveniently. Put onions in a mesh bag. The size of the bag is not too important depending on the amount of onions you have, but you should use a bag that is not too big for easy use. Then tie the bag tightly. It's such a joy that we're connecting from all over the world. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for your support. Hang the bag of onions in a cool, dry place with good air circulation. Avoid placing them near heat sources or places with high temperatures, as this will cause the onions to spoil quickly. Depending on the quality of the onions, this method can keep the onions fresh for 3 months to 1 year without sprouting or rotting. This method is simple but very effective. Special note: never store onions in their skins in the fridge. The cold and moisture will make them mushy and watery. But once you cut them, the rules change. They need to be refrigerated. Store your onions in an airtight container in the fridge. They will keep for 7 to 10 days. Or you can wrap the onions in plastic wrap. Wrap them all in plastic wrap. Put them in a storage container and store them in the fridge. You can also freeze onions. They will keep for up to 6 months. Just chop them, or use a blender if you want to save time. Put them in an airtight container. And freeze. Although frozen onions will lose their crunch, they are still perfect for soups, stews, or stir-fries. Method 6. Soaking sour onions. Prepare peeled onions. Wash with water. Then slice thinly. You can soak the onion slices in cold water for 5 to 10 minutes to reduce the pungent smell, making the onions crispier. Then remove and drain. Prepare a small pot, add vinegar, filtered water, add salt and sugar to pot. Heat over medium heat until salt and sugar dissolve. No need to boil for long. The mixture cool down. Warm is fine, about 40 to 50 degrees Celsius. Prepare a glass jar. Put the sliced onions in a clean, dry glass jar. Put the chili and garlic in the jar. Pour the prepared soaking water over the onions. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for your support. Cover the lid. Leave the jar at room temperature for about 1 to 2 hours to cool completely. Then place in the refrigerator. After about 1 day, it can be used, but leaving it for 2 to 3 days will have a stronger and more delicious flavor. Store in the refrigerator for 2 weeks to 1 month. And that's the content of today's video. If you found these tips helpful, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. It's a simple way to support the channel. I'd also love to hear your opinion. What's your favorite way to store onions at home? Please share your thoughts in the comments. I read every post and always enjoy learning new tips. If you want to see more simple kitchen tips to save time and money, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.